Is it wintertime? Are you a human? Well, you might just have what we call the winter blues, and you're in luck because today's episode, we're going to be talking all about it. This is the Existential Stoic Podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. What's going on, Danny?
What's up, Rainy? Talking about it, but not solving
Never. We wouldn't do any
it.
such thing.
Why would we
Yeah.
do something so horrible?
Yeah. No such thing. Yeah, it happened to me. I mean, it's no surprise. Like we knew this was coming. We did an episode a couple months ago, like November is coming, winter is coming, that
Yeah,
type of
yeah,
thing. And no surprise, waking up, and it's just kind of like snowballs. I mean, go figure, winter blues having
yeah.
the winter theme, it snowballs because it builds upon itself.
Well, what
Like,
I don't get too is it doesn't matter what the weather is. Like it actually, like it's seasonal. Like it's weird because like we had here we had like really out of the ordinary warm weather till about like a week and a half ago. So I mean, really into November, and it was like 80. Like it was really nice. Doesn't matter, which is weird because that's also weird. Like I always thought it was light maybe or weather, but I was getting tons of light. Like it's so strange.
mhm.
So yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, and so me, it was just like one little thing that started the beginning of the weekend, and then it just got that kind of like got amplified to worse, and then before you know it, it's like Sunday, and I'm like, my whole life is terrible. Like it was
that's what I
just
thought last night.
yeah,
I was like, I'll never do this. It'll
yeah,
never work. Everything's too hard. I should just give up.
yeah, and it's crazy because like today things kind of turned around, but I'm looking at it from the other side of things, and I'm like, how is that freaking possible? You could go from like this teeny, it's like the what did they call that? The little like thorn stuck in the tiger's paw. You go
Yeah,
from like a
yeah.
little thorn in the tiger's paw all the way
To
to
a
like
noose around his neck.
yeah, like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so fast.
It it does happen fast. That's the problem. And like, it's like, well, like I said, like last night I had a similar problem, but then like this morning I felt fine. I noticed for me too, it's a lot when I'm tired too, is the worst.
Hmm.
But it is weird though. I wish like I don't know. I do think sometimes I think or I started to think more, I guess, that it's expectations or ideas of expectations that we place on ourselves maybe. And because this is just my thinking about it, so whatever. But because the year's ending. So we know like December's the end of the year, January's gonna start a new year. Then you also have on top of that, you have holidays all stacked together, which is whatever, even if you like the holidays, they're stressful. Whether you like it or not, they are. Because you gotta do stuff, you're gonna travel, whatever, presents, all that nonsense. And so I think that culmination of stuff just is a lot. And like then, with the new year coming too, you also have thoughts of like, did I do what I wanted? Where I'm not where I'm at, and blah 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 and blah and like all that stuff. So yeah, I think it's just a tough time.
I'm
We put
glad
a
you
lot of
mentioned,
pressure.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad you mentioned that like planning type of thing because whenever I'm in a terrible mood, that's when I think it's the best idea ever to plan out my life and be like, why is nothing working out like it should? Even though I'm already living literally like my dream life of a few years ago, it's like
Yeah, but that
nothing's
was a few
working
years
out.
ago, and now you're a different you,
I know.
and
Yeah,
you have new
nothing's working
needs.
out. I need to replan my whole entire life right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a freaking crazy.
Yeah, it is weird. I don't know. It's annoying too. It's very frustrating. I don't
Hmm.
know why we're not better. I don't understand why we're not better at it. And I'm sure this must have happened to people. Because the number of people that get depressed this time of year, which is quite a number. And we also just had the elections. So, there's so much crap going on this time of year. And I wonder if like I wonder how much this affected people in the past too, because I'm sure it did, right? Because winter was slow,
Yeah.
depending on what time period you're looking at, right? Probably very slow. And yeah, it's just harder.
Oh, since time immemorial, like Hippocrates thought it was due to black bile, called it
Yeah.
melancholia. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's interesting because it's been happening forever, but I will say that like with age and with us talking about it and with me reading helpful books on it, like it does get to be better somewhat.
Oh yeah, no, this is much better than I used to be, which is surprising. But
Hmm.
like, yeah, no, it definitely gets better. I think you have to put work in though, right, to make it better.
And
But it does get better.
it's just helpful to recognize that like, oh, it's November. Oh, this is just one of those things. Oh, it's not going to last forever. Oh, I just need to chill.
It's funny. I found that recently I've been doing that a lot. I mentioned it before, but like acknowledging like what you're feeling and recognizing it. Like I've noticed that's been helping a lot. And even though it's not really like, because it's funny, because in one part of me thinks like, well, you're not really doing anything. You're just realizing what it is, right? That's bothering you. But it is helpful because when you realize it, then you can also kind of say, well, okay, the things I'm thinking are probably a consequence of what I'm feeling, not a consequence of reality or, a consequence of what's actually happening in the world.
That is an interesting point. And it actually brings up your question earlier about like, has this happened forever? Have a whole bunch of people? And actually, I think that probably more people are affected by it now because we're not in touch with our feelings. Like
Yeah,
a
at all.
hundred years ago, 200 years ago, before we were very like uh cranial, very brainy people, rational, all this stuff, before we thought about everything, we would have emotions and we would have feelings and they would just go blow through us and then we would be
Do,
done with them.
do you know what's funny?
Mm.
When you read, so like reading philosophy and stuff, you end up like looking at obviously like intelligent people from the past because they're ones that were writing stuff down and stuff. They had the education, right? Not everybody did. It was very
No,
rare.
most people did not.
And what's funny is when you read them, you notice like all of them clearly struggle with like depression and stuff. But like,
Mhm.
and I always wonder, is it our thinking that because it's, rationality is only a part of us, but it's like a part that seems to want to dominate, that if that's part of the problem because it's trying to dominate rather than work with or like, you know, I don't know, aligned with our feelings and stuff.
Dude, because it literally is the weaker part of us. Like emotions are so much stronger, feelings are
Oh
so much
God, it's so
stronger.
strong.
But rational's like, I'm better and you need to submit to my will. And why are you
Yeah.
not doing that? Wham,
Here are
my
three
life
reasons.
sucks. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, it is
probably.
weird though.
We are the cause of our own depression.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, and you know what too? Like it's always weird because I think this time of year is funny because like I said, you're like, well, this year we had an election too, but you have all these holidays, you have really quickly in a row. You have, Halloween, you have Thanksgiving, Christmas, among a bunch of others, obviously.
Hmm.
And then New Year's Day, and then it's like after that you get
Nothing.
nothing for a while. And
Except
I
for
don't,
cold weather and
yeah,
snow
and
and
like
bleakness. Yeah.
And the only benefit is it's like a new year, so you do have that new beginning type feeling. Because I think we are all affected by that year cycle,
Yeah.
a
You have
bit,
the
and
new
like
year, so in about 4 days, you can be really disappointed with yourself when you fail to
fail all
live
your
up to your
new
New Year
year.
expectations.
Yeah, screw resolutions, dude. They're
Yeah.
the worst. I don't
Yeah.
even bother with them. I have
Yeah.
longer term plans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is funny. Ah, well, what do you do then to help other than recognition?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this. Uh Things that were helpful for me. So one was noticing that it's just this time of year and it's just like a temporary
Yeah,
phase. So like that was super helpful because I'm just like, oh, it's November. Like, duh. Okay.
it does
Uh
get annoying though that it always comes around though. It's like every year, But
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah, but
life.
so what? Like it's annoying that my alarm clock goes off so early in the morning, but it still happens. And so yeah. So like there are annoyances in life. So that was one thing. Another thing was recognizing the cognitive distortion. So like overgeneralization. I mean, this was eh,
Oh yeah.
this was pretty much the cause for it was like I had this one little thing go wrong and it snowballed into everything is wrong with my life.
Isn't that
And
always the cause though? It's always like that. It's
right.
always some small thing and then that amplifies to everything else. Like
And
this is,
so
you know.
recognizing that that is an example of overgeneralization, which is just my brain working against itself because like this one little thing, I made it be everything, but it's really just this one little thing. And
Yeah.
so trying like noticing that it was just this one little thing. And one of the processes that I did that was helpful for that was just like counting my blessings, gratitude. So
That's a good
like,
one. Yeah.
what
Gratitude
things
always
do I
helps.
have going for me? Oh, this is awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome. But and then my brain would start discounting the positive, and it's like, yeah, but that stuff doesn't count because I really want this thing that's not working out for me.
And that's not it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny too. I noticed this is because I noticed what was this like a couple months ago, and it's hard for me to do, and I know for various reasons, but when I when I'm more conscientious about my work schedule and I stop and take breaks more, it happens less. And I do notice that too, because I know it's tied to that. Like it's getting tired while you're trying to solve problems and do stuff because you feel like you're leaving stuff undone. And that gets into that, like, I'll never get this done. But it's like, well, I need sleep. that's really what it is, and I need a break. And I think
Hmm.
that's a big part of it too. We don't give ourselves because it's so hard anymore to like
Hmm.
take a break in the world we live in because it's fast paced. You're constantly being confronted with information about people doing better than you. There's just impulse to do way more than a human being can do in a day, like all these things. And I
We're in
think
a
that's
lifetime,
a
way more than a human being can do in a
yeah,
lifetime.
yeah, right. Like it's ridiculous. So I think that's a huge factor too, as well as just this idea that we have to meet these metrics that are just really stupid.
We have to not only be good at one thing, we have to be perfect at everything.
Yeah, which is absurd. It's
Yeah.
funny? When we got our dogs, this was 4 years ago, puppies. I remember looking online for I was looking for training stuff and all, just normal stuff. And I hadn't had a dog in a while because I had cats for a while. And everything you find on social media now, it's like all these people like, your dog has to be perfect and this and that, or like you're a bat. And it's like, one, I don't want my dog to be perfect because that's not a dog. That's like some weird little thing that you made into like a little robot. And like it's just funny though because then they like rag on people for not their dog not
And
being
it's
perfect.
and it's crazy because people take what people say on social media as gospel. Like I was
Yeah.
listening to someone today talking about some like BS that someone spouted on YouTube. And I was just like, I'm like anybody can start a channel on YouTube.
Literally.
And
Yeah.
generally the dumber people get bigger audiences just because it's entertaining. But it's like
Yeah.
it was crazy because what they were talking about was not backed by any science.
No,
It
these
was just
people aren't trained. Like that's what the pet thing. These people weren't trainers. They weren't vets. They weren't people that had any freaking. They weren't even like. It wasn't even like they were show dog trainers, or something. They were just like random people making videos about and it's like,
wouldn't that be so funny if like they look back at history one time and you're able to see like the Enlightenment and like all of a sudden there's so much hope and then all of a sudden social media and it just all falls to shit and like all of science just
yeah,
it's like the beginning of the dawn of science and like things start getting
the
better and
end of
better and
science.
better and then social media and it's like disproves science or something like that and it just you can't trust science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is funny. No, but that's it though. Like I think that's part of the problem is you get these representations of perfection all the time. But you look at some online, it's like anything else, right? They're showing you a part of their life. They're
Hmm.
not showing you everything,
Hmm.
right? And I said it to my partner too. I was like, dog training takes a lot of time. It's time consuming. It's not, especially like, you got to get it. I think it's important to get it to a comfortable level where like it works for you and you need
Hmm.
to train your animal, of course. But like show dog level training, like that's like a full-time job.
Hmm.
Like it's ridiculous, It's just funny.
Yep.
But I think that's part of the problem. These expectations we have because we look for information from sources of perfection. So the expectation is this very high bar that I don't even think the people showing you have that level.
Mm-mm.
And then, it's like then you feel bad about yourself for not getting that. And it's like ridiculous.
Hmm. Yeah. So, winter blues, other things that are helpful. So you mentioned like being tired, and I oftentimes notice that I'm in a bad mood when I'm tired, but if I try and rest, I'm like tired and restless. So like I'll notice
Yeah.
that I'm in a bad mood and I'm tired. I'll be like, okay, fine, I'm gonna take a nap, and then I'll try and take a nap and I can't, and it's the most frustrating thing ever.
Yeah. Well, it's like I also try to like I've been trying to be uh thankful that I have the drive that I have,
Hmm.
even though it sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because like you can get a
Oh
lot
yeah.
done, it's good, but like it's also hard. And I think that's just it. Like nothing's perfect. I think
Hmm.
the other problem too is we put too much pressure on ourselves uh to feel good all the time, which doesn't make any sense
Yeah.
because we're animals and animals don't feel good all the time. Like look
Uh-uh.
at your pets. Like granted, they don't like have a full range of emotions like we do, but they get tired, they get grumpy, they get,
But the thing is, they don't
act
get down on
frustrated.
themselves for feeling
No, and
bad.
it
But we
passes very
do.
quickly,
We
right? It
do, and that's the
passes. They feel
difficulty.
it. Like,
Yeah.
it's funny because I was watching my dog last night. Like, he wanted something and he couldn't have it because it was late. And I'm like, dude, you're not getting that. And he's like laying next to me and he stamped his foot and went like, hmm. And he does it all. It cracks me up, dude, when he does it. It's so funny. It's so bitchy. But so he did that. And then, like, he looked at me and I was like, no. And he was like, "Grr." And then he just went and lay down and, like, it passes. But I think, like, they, like, let themselves
He doesn't
experience
need to
it,
go to therapy for 20 years to get over
Yeah.
why you didn't give him whatever he wanted.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
it's so funny though when he does it. It cracks me up. But like it like seems like they let themselves feel it, which I think we fight it.
Hmm.
And it's kind of, because we think we're supposed to present a certain way, but we do. And that's the other problem. You go out in social life, right? And like people expect you to present
Well,
happy,
I heard something that was really helpful for me in one of the books by David Burns, like the Feeling Good, Feeling Great, any of those books. He was talking about how like, if you use these models and everything, you're gonna get a lot happier. Like that's just they
Yeah.
and they do it through a lot of like they test people before and after, and people just get happier in general. But he's like, you're never gonna be happy 100% of the time. Like everybody's entitled to 5 good days a week, but you're also entitled to 2 bad days a week. And that's a
Yeah.
really helpful thing for me every time I'm feeling down because I'm like, oh, this must be one of the 2 bad days. Okay, that makes
That's a
sense.
good thing, but
Fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's it. Our expectations are really skewed from reality. Because, like, it's just like
Happily
when
ever
people,
after, dude.
well, that's the problem. Like, I think we screwed up so bad. And, people have that expectation. Like, if I just get that thing, if I just get these things, I'll be happy. As if, yeah, you'll be in that state from that point on. But it's not going to happen because that's just not how
Mhm.
life is, It's all over the place. And I
Yeah.
think, yeah, it's reminding yourself that's very helpful.
Another thing that was helpful for me was redefining a short-term vision because I have a long-term vision, but it's like it's a long-term vision and it just sucks like every day making a 1% or a 0.1% improvement, but it's like so negligible over the long term of that thing that
Well,
it
it's like
seems like you're
you'll
not
get there.
moving anywhere.
Yeah, you'll get there in maybe 5 years or 10
Hmm.
years, but you also have to live every day of those 5 and 10 years incrementally getting
Right.
there, which sucks.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
redefining a shorter term goal that I can actually see in the next few months that motivated me so that I can be like, okay, this is why I'm working towards it. So let's just do this because yeah, I'll get to the big long one that I want to, but this is the interim. This is the waypoint.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Yeah, because I think
Hmm.
that's the other side of that pressure is we have the dreams that we're striving for that keep us going that are
Hmm.
big,
Yeah.
but also they don't happen. We all want them to happen overnight, but they don't either. That's the other problem. It's really time is such a bitch, man. It is. It sucks.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that's it. That's what I did. Anything else you did do? Winter blues?
Just recognizing it is very helpful for me
Yeah.
recently. And also just stop when you notice it, just stop.
Oh my
Just stop putting pressure on yourself to do crap and just stop.
You know what I
Watch
did?
him,
Oh,
relax.
yeah. You know what I actually did that was really cathartic?
What?
I was in a miserable mood, and I went to the gym and I just lifted as hard as I could with like
That helps though.
yeah, with like some good music on, and I was just so angry, and everybody that looked at me was just like, "Oh," and
He's
afterwards I
using
felt
steroids. Watch out.
afterwards I felt great afterwards, and yeah,
That's
so
always a good practice, though. I used to do that in grad school, was just go to the gym because it was a great way to just, because you have like, a lot of us too sit a lot when we're working, and you
mhm.
have this like pent up physical energy too. And it's also a good way to get rid of your emotions because that's energy. It's all just energy. If you get it out of you, you feel better. That's a really good one. Yeah.
Mhm.
Also, just like doing something different, like hobbies are great. I've been
Yeah.
doing that more too because it's like just saying, screw this, what I'm working on, and just go do something else. It's fun. That's no pressure. Can be nice.
Hobbies, but if you're not making money from it and you're not like the
Yeah.
best in the world, what's the
You're
point of doing
failing.
it?
You're a failure.
Oh my gosh. I laugh, I chuckle to myself all the time because people are always like, I'm not like great at it or anything. It's like, who the hell cares? Like, I'm not
So is
doing it for
90,
money, but they talk
so
about
is
something they're interested in.
99.9% of people.
Because I ask
Yeah.
it, like whenever I'm meeting people, I really don't care what they do for work because I never understand what they're doing. They're like, I'm a senior retail manager liaison number 2. And it's like, I don't know
All
what
the
the hell that
titles
is.
sound super fancy.
Yeah.
I know.
But like, so like I like to ask them, I'm like, what do you do for fun? And half the time people are like, well, I'm not great at it, but this, or I don't make any
I
money
watch
from it, but
Netflix.
this. And yeah, I know, right? Yeah. And and it's like people always need to preface their hobbies with, you know, I'm not amazing or I'm not
Earning
making
from
money
it.
from it. Yeah, go figure.
It's like that's the definition of a hobby, jackass, is that you're not getting money from it. It's that you're doing it as a hobby for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Oh
right.
God.
So, anyways, hopefully that helped cheer you up and get you through some of your winter blues. If it didn't, comment, we'll try and get back to you. or you can
And
listen
you're
to
not
one of
alone. You're not
yeah,
alone, right?
you're
Everybody
definitely
goes
right
through
there
this.
with us. And
Yeah.
or you could listen to one of our hundreds of other podcasts. Maybe something else we say is useful. We've been doing this for 5 years at this point, something like
Yeah.
that. Holy
Yeah. We're
freaking
in five.
cow.
We're in year five,
We're
I
in year
think.
five, so this is between 4 and 5 years. So,
Yeah.
anyways, this is the Existential Stoic Podcast. I'm Randy. That's Danny. I'll see you later, Danny.
Later, Randy.